With visittanzania4less.com, you can celebrate Christmas in the Serengeti and New Year's Eve in Zanzibar with our holiday special. This 9-day adventure through Tanzania's stunning landscapes covers the Serengeti, Crater Tour, and Zanzibar's beaches. Enjoy an unforgettable New Year's Eve party and explore Dar es Salaam, East Africa's largest city. Worried about your budget? Our preferred travel agency, iButterfly Travel, can help finance your dream trip. Contact them at 844-423-5983. Start 2024 on a high note with a unique Tanzanian experience. Call iButterfly Travel today at 844-423-5983 or email visittanzania4less@gmail.com. Reserve your dream vacation with a 30% deposit. Spend Christmas in the Serengeti and New Year's Eve in Zanzibar. If not now, then when?
The wait is over. The all-new Umoja Radio Network, home to over 40 Black-owned radio stations and podcasts, is here for you. Connect to the world's fastest-growing collection of unapologetically Black and proud media, from podcasts to independent Black-owned radio stations, and access to the important news and music you need. Umoja Radio is from our culture, by our culture, for our culture. The all-new Umoja Radio is available right now on Google Play and the Apple Store. Join the movement. Be empowered. I'm so glad you
All right, beautiful people. Hope you're having a great day today. On the show, hanging out with me, very interesting, very smart, intelligent sister, based out of Orlando, Florida. But we're talking international real estate investment. We hear a lot of conversation about investing overseas, investing in other countries, investing in Africa. Well, my good sister, Wendy Cowan, is here. Cowan here to talk about it. Wendy, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent, Paul. Thank you so much for having me.
It's an honor to have you on. Shout out to Baba Tim for connecting us together. And we shared a lot of good ideas and conversations together. Tell us what do you do? You do a lot. What do you do in regards to international real estate investment?
Sure. First of all, I'm a global real estate practitioner, which is a specific designation. You take advanced coursework in order to get that certification. And then from there, you have a baseline of knowledge to work with not only overseas developments, but also representing folks who are seeking that type of investment opportunity. So through organizations that I'm affiliated with, I can help clients in up to 74 countries.
Wow. That's a lot. And you've been behind some pretty significant projects, right?
Yes, we have several really exciting projects to talk about today, but most notably, I'm working in South Africa on 2 major developments, in Zanzibar, which is Tanzania, on what's expanding to be a very sizable portfolio that folks will have entry-level opportunity on. We have development in Dubai and Abu Dhabi for those who are seeking that international center of the world, center of commerce location, as well as, of course, the Caribbean, and I'm from Jamaica.
Okay. So the question I have, some people have is trust. How can you trust that what you're doing is going to be followed up and it's not going to fall in bad hands? You're not going to get ripped off. There's not going to be no fraud involved.
Sure, that's a great question, and I'm so glad that you asked that, because that is the biggest concern in investing overseas. A lot of times you'll go on a trip to, and I'm not picking on any countries in particular, go to Jamaica, go to Belize, go to Mexico, and other places in Central America and Africa, and pretty much anybody is offering to sell you real property, right? And it could be anyone from a taxi driver, hairdresser, and they're not restricted from doing so in many of these countries. So the countries that do have firm agreements that you must be real estate licensed are coming more on board and signing bilateral agreements with the National Association of Realtors, which is the largest regulating body of real estate internationally. And so to become a realtor or have that tagline on your name, you have to be a member of NAR. So NAR has memberships not just in the United States, but also throughout countries around the world, whether it's a direct relationship with that country or they have their own brand of NAR, such as India. India is on par with NAR USA as its own entity. So going back to your question about trust, it's really important that you're dealing with a realtor. And what does that mean? It means that I'm supervised by a regulating body. We have a code of ethics to adhere to. And in order to have your license with that organization, you have to abide by those code of ethics. So anyone that's just a sales agent, they're not held to those code of ethics. So it's really important to make sure realtor is affixed to folks that you're dealing with, especially internationally.
Okay. The other question people might have, does it require a lot of capital to start these investments in other countries?
That would be the assumption, but there are new ways of investing where you have fractional ownership, where you can get in for as little as $5,000 in some cases, where you own similar but dissimilar to a timeshare, but you're owning a part of that entity, but it's not the same as a timeshare where it's weeks restricted and things like that. So there are ways to invest for less money, but let me give you a great example. In Cape Town, South Africa right now, we have a brand new construction development. And when you convert the rand to the US dollar, it's costing you 35,000 US dollars for a one-bedroom efficiency condo in this brand new development. So we have over 300 units in that development to offer, from efficiencies all the way up to, I believe, 3 bedrooms. So it's a way to participate in growing emerging economies and kind of have that ground floor entry point. So people,
what have you seen 3 bedrooms at? What are the 3 bedrooms going for?
around 250. Around
Okay.
250.
Will that be, that's South Africa? What about Tanzania? What about Jamaica? What about some of these other countries?
Sure. So Tanzania, the pricing is going to be a little higher, because if you kind of check the statistics of where's the #1 region to vacation in Africa, that's Tanzania, which is so awesome that your tour company is there. And we hope to be connecting you with our other groups that are bringing travelers to Tanzania. So I'm really excited about what you've done there, Paul, and empowering the local economy. But that's what I seek to do. It's not just a matter of seeing opportunities for people to make money, but it's how can we engage with these communities, invest in these communities, and help rise them from some of the most impoverished levels in the world. So for instance, in South Africa, the pricing is for these units, as I said, starting at about 35,000 US dollars all the way up to the best that you can purchase. But when you go to Dubai, you have units in that 200 range all the way up to millions of dollars. So they do have a broad range of availability and pricing there. Again, if you want to do fractional ownership, that's available in Dubai as well.
Wow. Are people making money off of fractional ownership?
You're more earning money in the growth of the value of the investment, and you do get some dividends, whether it's monthly or quarterly. So there is income both ways, but those you tend to hold kind of like an investment in a mutual fund.
Okay. And the goal is probably to uh, sell, get in, and then sell it later.
Usually people approach those investments because they're too scared of the overall ownership, of not being there present, having to deal with property managers and, the turnover of the asset, where all this is managed by the group. So it allows you to participate in the fun part of the investing, the money, without the day-to-day responsibilities of managing the property. So it's good for somebody who wants the exposure without more of the risk.
Wendy, do you need to have citizenships in these countries to make these type of investments?
You do not. And what is so exciting is that you do have the opportunity to earn a passport for some foreign countries by owning property there. So Portugal has a great passport program. Spain does, of course. The Caribbean through CARICOM, it gives you great privileges. And Grenada is one of the best, we'll say, most flexible passport options. It's the least expensive and it gets you into all of the CARICOM countries. So it's really interesting when you start looking at things from that perspective of not having all your eggs in one basket, because there are places in the world that you can go easier on a Jamaican passport than a US passport, believe it or not. So it is really important to, if you don't have a passport, that's what I'm going to encourage you is by our next show that I have with some of my colleagues, that we're going to ask you to go to the post office, pull the passport application, and at least take it home and read it. But I do encourage people to start investigating, not just throughout the United States, but around the world, and seek out where you feel comfortable, where you see opportunity for yourself and your family, and perhaps invest in those communities.
Wow. Wendy T. Cowan talking today. We're talking about international real estate investment. If I was just starting off and I got about $20,000 I want to invest, and I want to do an international investment, what would you say?
I would say, first of all, what countries speak to you? Where are you most interested in? So really, before we even get out the gates, you need to put your boots on the ground and go visit these countries.
I need to go there.
Hmm?
I need to go there.
That's correct. You got to go there first. I'm not going to do that for you because you need to see what you're getting yourself into. You have to feel comfortable, see yourself fitting in, and how you want to, what your objective is, see if it can be attained. So it's really visiting those countries first. And that's why I said, get that passport as your first step, because just going by what's in an advertisement or just what a salesperson says to you, it all sounds good. They're giving you the pros, but you also need to see the cons. You need to see the road conditions. You need to see how close this is to the conveniences that you need, such as pharmacy, grocery, banking, and things like that. So definitely put the boots on the ground first.
Wendy, why are some of these countries real estate seems to be on the pricing of this real estate seem to be on the same par with the USA, even though
Well,
the economy is nowhere close to the USA?
sure. So you do have tremendous foreign investment in any of the locations that we're talking about. Because first of all, we're not going to recommend somewhere that is either in political upheaval, in significant decline. So we're going to recommend places that we ourselves would invest. And most global practitioners do invest in other countries before ever recommending to their clients. Our family owns property in Jamaica that we will be eventually developing. So it's something that you have to walk first before you can talk.
All right. If people want to connect with you to get fed a little bit more, what's the best way? IG, telephone, website, email?
Sure. So I am a professional business person and I do prefer LinkedIn if you are connected on that network, but I'm also very present on Instagram. So you could feel free to drop me a direct message in Instagram. Or you can reach out on the phone, 407-801-4876. And my email is wendycowansells@gmail.com.
Now, on your own personal website, you got a lot of information there, and it has not. This is having nothing to do with international trade, but it's talking about the housing market, explaining the low housing supply, and I'm sure they have something to do with the price of housing right now, right?
Sure. So one of my passions in addition to sustainable development is affordable housing. I'm a big advocate for affordable housing and making sure that there's inventory in all of our major markets around the country for folks that are teachers and firefighters, police officers, nurses that are taking care of our community. And what you've found is that we've had such interest in real estate investment that a lot of these institutional investors now are purchasing up all the available inventory in local markets, and they're paying pretty much what an owner-occupant buyer would pay. So it has created a situation where people who live in communities can hardly afford to work in those. That work in those communities can't live there and end up having to commute for an hour away to a more rural area. So the reason the prices are so high is because the inventory is so low, and the home builders are way behind the 8 ball on where they should be producing. So with that continued low inventory, you do have prices that are going up and up and up. And even though the interest rates have also gone up, not all people are financing homes. They're buying them cash. So interest rates don't affect them in that way. So as I mentioned, one of my big passions is affordable housing. I'm a 7-year volunteer with Habitat for Humanity here locally in Orlando. And, that's just something near and dear to my heart. I think it's important that people are able to build generational wealth through home ownership.
Wow. And matter of fact, I think I see an award you might have got recently from a recognition that you might have got from Habitat from Humanity.
Yes, I was actually it was so cool, Paul. I went to go visit. That was actually an event. It's to face the housing crisis, and that placard in my hand says "I raise my hand." So it's actually a initiative to really do an effect on the inventory of affordable home ownership in Central Florida. And this is a nationwide crisis, and as realtors, I really want to see more realtors get involved on the grassroots effort with this problem, because until you're there working side by side with a prospective homeowner with Habitat, it doesn't really sink all the way in. Like how hard some people really have to strive to get that first key. And it's like the 8 ball is moving so much faster than they can even sprint to catch up with it, that we're locking a lot of people out of generational wealth. The other issue, Paul, is that a lot of the large developers now are building entire communities that are for rent only. It's called build to rent. And I think that's extremely damaging because, again, we're not producing enough inventory for owner occupants. So those are things that keep me up at night.
Well, on the international real estate, are there any financing, or do you have
Yes.
to bring cash?
So there are countries like Jamaica that offer very similar to the United States with low down payments, 5% down, and you're able to finance the rest. You would have to get a tax ID number in Jamaica, as you do here if you own investment property. In Mexico, it's owned through a trust, which is a different scenario. In Dubai, as far as financing is concerned, you are making installments up until it's built, and then you make your last payment. So there's different ways that you can do it, either financing or a payment plan. But most are going to require no less than 50% down, just because internationally you could just skip off and they're going to hold on to that 50% as thank you for that deposit. Um, but yeah, we definitely have some options for financing, but it's not as prevalent and as accessible as it is here in the United States.
Okay, I think I got about 2 more questions. Wendy, proudest moment for you in this field?
Proudest moment for me was leading a women's leadership delegation to Dubai in 2022 and having several members of that delegation achieve their dreams. One was a Brazilian American fine artist who has her work now as part of the collection with the Crown Prince of Dubai's office, and my team arranged that. We have an individual who launched, she's actually from Belize, a Black PhD biochemist who launched her nutraceutical product in Dubai. And right now we're negotiating to get that into 1,000 different pharmacies. So although I do global real estate, I'm also a business consultant, and I help startups and projects and individuals, launch their business or get funding for their business or bring them to a global marketplace.
Wendy, you come from a very influential family in Jamaica. If you don't mind sharing us a little nugget about your family, because it speaks volume to where you come from.
Well, I won't say that I come from an influential family from the standpoint that we all came from the same place, and it was just we found our way to where we are. So my uncle was Bob Marley's manager in the 70s. And his wife, Carlene Davis, well, first of all, his name is Tommy Cowan. His wife, Carlene Davis, is a reggae gospel performer and singer and songwriter and artist with probably 50 albums. And she was on billboards in 2019 as, I think she was like number 2 or number 3 on Billboard Gospel Awards. And then her daughter, their daughter, Naomi Cowan, she is a tremendous international star at this point. She's coming out in Paramount's Bob Marley movie next year to be released by Paramount. She's touring in Europe as we speak, and her latest collaboration is with Idris Elba.
Wow, that's good. Anything else you want to share before we go?
Sure. I really want to share that I would like people to find their way home. And maybe that home is exactly where you live right now, but it's important for you to get out there into the global space and experience the world and see some of the issues that are pressing our fellow diasporans around the world and see what we can do to help. And sometimes help is just being present. Sometimes help is opening a business. Sometimes help is investing in a business, as you have, Paul. And sometimes help is just being there. So I encourage you to get out there, see the world, Jamaica, Belize, Dubai, Tanzania, South Africa, Portugal, Costa Rica. Just get out there and see what the world is made of.
You, this last question, you have a trade show coming up in Miami or Fort Lauderdale. If you don't mind, share about this trade show. Why is it important?
Well, it's the Florida International Trade and Culture Expo, as sponsored by Broward County government, and I'm an official ambassador for that event for the country of Jamaica, which is where I'm from. And the point of that event, it's the largest multi-sector trade event in Florida, which makes it one of the most notable ones in the United States. So we have 74 countries, heads of state, trade leaders, ministers, commissioners, royalty, celebrities attending this event specifically for trade, anything from commodities to travel to products and services. And my interest is clean energy. So we're really excited to be a part of that event, help support its success. It's in its 8th year now. And if you are interested in taking your company, brand, or business global, please get in touch with me on LinkedIn. I would love to help you.
All right, Wendy, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
All right, back to more music.